Hi, and welcome back to Thone's James Nibbles number 12. Wisdom for Our Life, part 4 of 4. Understanding God with Wisdom. Again, covering James chapter 1, verses 2 through 8. And this particular section is a summary of wisdom teachings before we go on to something else. Why is this in the Bible? The thoughts of James are understood by his target audience. Communications. James was good in understanding his audience, and that's always important if you're trying to communicate with the audience, is to understand what is the understood basis of that audience and what is going to go fly directly in the face of what they think and what is going to corroborate what they think. And we have to understand all those things before we have an effective communication with that audience. Application to me. The Jewish Christian audience understood that wisdom means understanding and practical skill, which could represent the glory of God in their daily lives. Notice, two parts there. Understanding, but then we have to have the practical skill to apply that understanding as well. We are not to mistake this as brilliant theological speculation, but rather purely teachable and preachable recitation of God's will for the life of His people. Wow. I can't believe I wrote that. That's a pretty good thought. Let me repeat that. We're not to think about that we wrote some brilliant theological argument. That's not for the unsaved. A brilliant theological argument is nothing but just a bunch of multi-syllable words to a unsaved person. We're trying to be rather purely teachable and preachable. Teachable, that is, for those who have just been saved, and preachable, that is, for those who have not been saved, but we're trying to nudge them in that direction. And it's God's will of the life of His people. That's what we were trying to teach. We should live and pray to ask God to guide and protect us as we face the increasingly inevitable attacks on our person as we increase our intimate communications with God. We must ask for this kind of wisdom. And, it's a very difficult thing to deal with. So let's think about it a little more. We are asking God to guide and protect us because we know that there's going to be a backlash as we face the increasingly inevitable attacks on our person. That's the backlash as we increase our intimate communications with God. In other words, God is going to tell us how to defend ourselves as we and better and more as we are more intimate in our communications with Him. He can't tell us how to do things that are beyond our scope because we aren't there yet in our own minds, but He will give us all that He can. And we must ask for this kind of wisdom, that is the wisdom not only to deal with the legitimate questions as to what we're saying, which is, the teachable, preachable part of it, but also the questions of which we're going to be accused of not being a true representative by the other people. We must also have the wisdom to deal with that. God leads us with Never forget that I will provide wisdom and guidance when you need it, and in particular in situations you may face when you are serving the kingdom. He often will guide us in whatever the situation is, whether it deals with ministry or not. But he will in particular always help us deal with situations as we are serving the kingdom. My response: Lord, thank you for the wisdom you provide to your people. I pray that I will always use this wisdom in a way honoring your plan and your will. And that's our part of the deal, right? We are using the wisdom that he's giving us to further his kingdom, not to further our own self-image. Once we do that, we're in big trouble because we are not God. Therefore, there are lots of things that others can come to bring us, accuse us of, to bring us down, if we're just doing it for our own image. But if we're doing it for God's image, then he will see to it that we say the right things and do the right things. Talk to you next time.